Okay, there we go. So for this session, I'm basically going to be talking about how to use the catalog. So for those of you who haven't used the library's resources very much or gone on our website very often, the catalog is basically where the books live. Is kind of the, I don't know, easy way of saying it, but it's a little more complicated than that. So as far as the catalog goes, it is the physical collection. So everything that we have physically in the library, as far as books or videos, magazines and things like that, that we have physical copies of, you will find in the catalog. The catalog also includes, though, our ebook collection, and it includes also some of the databases that we have. It does not have all of the databases. So sometimes people like to use the catalog for searching both for articles and for books, but I use it primarily for books and like videos and things like that. And I tend to use the databases themselves for articles, but I will say that we do have articles that come up in there. It's just not all of them are in there. And so sometimes you might miss out on something if you're only ever searching the catalog. Sometimes it is a good idea to go poke around in the databases as well. So if you're not familiar with the library website, I will take you there. It's basically lfcc.edu/library. So this is the website. As far as where the catalog is, pretty much search everything, and books and ebooks are going to have you covered. So like when I said that it contains, everything that we have except for some of the databases, search everything will allow you to do that search and kind of look at all those collections. But if you go to books and ebooks, that kind of already sets you like with your results filtered. So if you do the search here, it'll take you to the catalog, but it'll only show you books and ebook results. So I'm going to click the link to the library catalog just so I can kind of land on the main page. So this is the catalog right here. So let me make sure. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to talk about advanced searching. I was like, I didn't want to get ahead of myself, but so I'll just do a simple search in here. I'm just going to do a search for body image. If that's a topic, for example, that I was trying to find some resources on for my paper. So you'll see when I do just a basic search in the catalog, no filters or anything to start with, it gives me over 2 million results. We obviously have a lot of resources on body image, and that includes articles, like I said, and actually that's the bulk of where it's going to come from is articles. So you'll see down here on the side, in the right-hand side, where it says resource type, it is over, it's 1.5 million are basically articles. And that's just because the collection is so huge. So it tends to skew that way anyway. We have way more ebooks and online articles than we do have anything else as far as physically. So the key to kind of using the catalog effectively, because I imagine you don't want to go through 2 million results to find something that works for you, is there's a few things that you can kind of do. One is using the filters on the side. So if you kind of know ahead of time what you want to use, as far as if you're just looking for articles or you're just looking for books, you can actually limit that way. So I'm going to go ahead and limit to, say, I'm just going to do books and media, for example. So that'll knock me down quite a bit. It brings me down to 1,500 essentially, and that's just going to be largely books, and it'll also include videos as well. You can kind of see media ends up in there too. So I can limit even further to just books if I want to. You'll also notice here on the side, it'll tell you what's actually on the shelf and what's online. So you can see again, the majority of what's coming up is actually from our online collection. So that would be the ebook collection. And you can limit it to just on the shelf if you prefer, but I will say again, our ebook collection is huge, so it kind of is helpful to include those results. And plus, with everything being virtual, it's a little bit easier to get to an ebook than it might be to get to the campus and actually pick something up. So like I mentioned, using the filters is really helpful. Another thing that you should know is there are also filters for, let me see if I can scroll down. I'm trying to find my scroll bar. There it is. I was like, where's my scroll bar for the actual filters? Let's see. So you can actually limit even further by like publication date, for example. If you wanted to get results that are a little more recent than 1970, let me see if I can, maybe like, let's do 2010. And I'm going to apply that filter. Then let me see. Oh, I got a couple people in the waiting room. Let me let them in really quickly. There we go. Okay, so after I apply the filter for years, you can see that the number goes down a little bit more. It's still pretty high though. So one other thing that I always like to point out to people is the advanced search. If I click that, there is options here to actually kind of pre-limit your search results. So right now I'm searching any field in the catalog, but one thing that you might want to be aware of is sometimes to get results that are like specific to the topic that you're looking on, it helps to go into a book that is on the topic and to check and see what the subject is showing up as. So you can see body image is actually showing up as the specific subject of the book itself. So knowing that, I can actually go back and do a subject search for body image. So it's only going to search that one field, the subject field. I'm also going to go ahead and limit it to just books so that it will keep it a little bit lower result number than like 1 million. And when I do the search now, you can see I found 717 results that are books only that have body image as the topic. And the thing is, I can limit it a little bit further here, again, because of the date. So, because it goes back really far to like 1973. So let me go ahead and apply that filter. Okay, so now it's going to be the last 10 years. So that's 407 books, which is still a little bit high. You can always do like a search and add additional keywords in. So if you were kind of wanting to focus specifically on women, for example, I could do the search again, and that would limit it even further. Or if you're happy with 400 results and you don't mind paging through that many, that's fine too. You can see adding women in limited it a little bit more, so that does help. So the filters are really important as far as like the number of results that you're getting to help limit to a little bit something more manageable. As far as getting physical items and requesting them, anything that has a location like this, and sometimes you'll have books that there might be multiple versions of. We might have an ebook version and a physical version, so you might want to click to see both versions. But anything that says available at, and then it has like the campus, that's going to be something that we have physically that you can request. So to get a physical item placed on hold for you, all you have to do is go down to the request section, say sign in, log in with your LFCC username and password. Right. And then it will give you an option to request and basically tell it what pickup location that you want to send it to. And then once we have it ready for you, you'll get like an email notification letting you know. So that's basically how you request items. As far as going a little bit deeper than that, there's a couple of things you might want to know in addition in the catalog. Virtual browse is kind of handy because once you do find a book that is on your topic and it's one that we have on the shelf, you can actually go open the book record. And if I scroll down to the bottom, you will see where the virtual browse option is. So this is really handy because it's kind of showing you like what is on the shelf really like in that same area, that same subject area, without actually having to go physically into the library to look at it. So I can just kind of scroll through and I'm already in a subject area that, you know, is relevant to me. And now I can just kind of see like, well, what's right in that same area? And is there anything that might be, you know, similar? Now, the thing is, use it, you know, I would say sparingly, as far as like, sometimes there's a book that might be in like, this is BF 697, but I might find another book that is on body image as well, but it's RC 552. So those are two totally different sections. You might not know by the call number, but they're like on opposite sides of the library. So virtual browse can be helpful, but you still kind of want to make sure is there like another section that might also somewhat relate to a topic like body image, for example. Now you can also search journals by title. I only wanted to point this out because I did have students recently kind of asking, do you have forensic science journals, for example? And I figured that the easiest way for me to do that was to actually do a search for forensic in the journal search. And it showed me which journals that we have that were kind of on the topic of forensic science. And then it shows the link for like online access. So that's just, it's not something that comes up very often where people want to look for specific journal titles. But sometimes if your professor is giving you an assignment, like I need you to find an article on, you know, forensic science or on psychology, and they don't really give you a lot of I don't know, specific parameters for it. Sometimes you might just want to like find a journal that is on that general topic and then be able to kind of browse through it and see if there's anything that might be of interest to you. The only other thing that I can think of to mention is when you log in on the catalog, like I did earlier, when it asked me to put the request in, it had me log in. So I'm actually now logged in and you can see my name up in the corner there. Doing that can be really helpful because if I do a search like body image, for example, again, I can actually save that search. So if I wanted to come back to it in the future and kind of see what the results were, I can do a save query and that will like save it in my history. I can also pin any books or articles that are of interest to me. So I can say like add this item and it will hold it for me. And then your favorites are right up here. So it will show you like everything that you've pinned. You also can go into the catalog and actually look at your library account. So if you wanted to like look at your loans, for example, and you want to go ahead and renew something or see what stuff you have on hold that maybe you haven't gone and picked up yet, all of that information will be right there under your library account. In addition to that, I feel like there was one more thing that I wanted to tell you guys. I'm trying to think what it was. I feel like it was in the book itself. I'm going to pop it open. Oh, yeah. One of the other things that you might want to know is if you want to ever like have a link to kind of send you right back to that specific book, you can use the permalink option. That link right there will send you directly to this book record. Or you can also pull the citation. It only has APA, Chicago, and MLA. And I always caution people, if you pull the citation from the databases or from the catalog, it will probably be accurate, but it does not hurt to check because I can't guarantee that it will always pull the information exactly the way that it should. For example, on this one, you can see the author's name is Lori S. Shearer, and it only included her last name, and I'm not sure why it didn't pull her first name in. So that is something that you would want to fix for MLA because you do need the first name. But generally, it gives you what you need as far as like publication date, the publisher. It usually kind of structures it correctly as far as the order of things. So if you're not very good at citations, or you're kind of rusty at them, I know that I kind of forget how to do them after it's been a while. It can be helpful to at least get the basics of it and then just double check it when you're looking at like the MLA manual or something like that. So that is pretty much the basics of the catalog. That's how you can request things. That's how you can find stuff when you're in there. I'll talk more in a workshop next week about searching effectively with like using the right keywords. So if that's kind of more something that you want to learn more about as far as how to do that well, I can tell you more about that. But yeah, that using the advanced search, using the filters, those are all ways to kind of like use the catalog a little bit better. So